You good? You good, you little floppy dog meat? Ready? Alrighty. Oh, the monkey cam. Does the monkey cam need a little more aiming? Maybe just a little. I don't know what that anything. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston with a Problem. Here we are, just rocking and rolling while everything comes crumbling down around us. But you know, we've seen it coming. Finally, this weekend, national news media, Wall Street Journal, CNBC, QZ, our local Seattle Times have all begun to talk about how the ships are no longer arriving in our ports. Or if they are, it's like a slow drip, drip, drip. Here in the Seattle area, we should be able to have 8 to 12 container ships in our port at any one time. We've had 2. And on Thursday when I was on the ferry, there were 0. There wasn't a single ship in port. Most of the ships that are meant for Seattle are diverting and offloading in Canada right now. For a couple of reasons. 1, tariffs. And 2, one of the things Trump put in his executive order is anytime a ship that is Chinese built is to dock in the U.S. is a $1.5 million fee. So an extra $1.5 million just to dock if the ship is Chinese built. Even if it's owned by an American company or anyone else, it was built in China, they're spending an extra $1.5 million just to dock the ship here in the United States. If the ship wasn't built in China but contains Chinese parts, I believe it's $800,000 fee. We don't make ships here. I mean, we make some like aircraft carriers and things like that, but container ships, we don't make container ships. We have a couple of smaller ships that are used to transport to and from Alaska, to and from Hawaii, to and from Guam, to and from American Samoa, to and from Saipan, to and from Puerto Rico, to and from Virgin Islands. That's because of the Jones Act, which requires any interstate travel between the United States must be an American-built ship. This also means that our fishing fleet has to be American built, that our ferries have to be American built, but we don't build giant container ships, we don't build giant tankers, we don't build giant grain ships. So all these ships are now paying a fortune to dock here. So if they can avoid it, they're going to dock in Canada where the fees won't be as steep. They'll offload all those goods. Things are going to get real cheap in Canada unless they figure out ways to, re-import in the United States, avoiding major tariffs at that. But the warnings are coming from folks like the chief economist at Apollo Global, basically saying, hey, the next couple of weeks, you're going to start to see shelves go bare, prices go up, and retailers start to flirt with bankruptcy. I forgot to close my door. One moment. There we go. All right, the cat in a box back there. So what's that mean for everybody? Well, not only are you going to be facing tariffs, but you're going to be facing scarcity of goods, which are going to cause prices to go up as well. So you're going to have pressure from... Cat, can we chill out? I know it's a box. It's pretty exciting. You're going to have pressure from demand and pressure from the stupid tariffs, causing prices to go through the roof, which is going to make basically your dollar not go as far. So we're going to be experiencing inflation from the dollar. And the cat, dude, I'm going to... What is it, dude? What is it? Why? You, come here. Okay. The fat guy just wants to be a troublemaker. It's because you're all full of steroids today. That's what it is. So anyway, we're going to be facing all sorts of pressures, making the value of our dollar weaker and weaker and weaker. To go on top of the fact that no one wants our treasury bonds anymore. Global markets are in flux. People normally retreat to the U.S. dollar when that happens. They're not. So other currencies are getting stronger compared to ours. Then again, like a weakening of a dollar sort of seems to be what J.D. Vance and that Curtis Yarvin crowd wanted out of all this, because they want us to become basically like peasants in China, willing to do anything for tech bro overlords. So yay, a bunch of assholes from the PayPal mafia. They're going to rule over us with an iron fist, and you're going to like it. So, all right. On top of that, we have what's going on. We're deporting babies, American citizen babies who have cancer. We're doing that. Christy Nome, who got her purse stolen last week with $3,000 in it. Magically, it was an illegal immigrant, undocumented immigrant, who somehow got past the Secret Service and security to snatch her purse. So, it's unnamed undocumented immigrant that she's blaming for the fact that her cocaine money got stolen. What else we got going on? Oh yeah, air traffic controllers. There's not enough air traffic controllers on the East Coast right now. So a whole bunch of airports are having like 3 and 4 hour delays for flights because they just can't manage them. Why? Because we fired a bunch of them. That's why. So, yeah. Why we fire them? To save money. As if, 300 lives in a plane, they're all worth $50 an hour, are delayed 4 hours, isn't some sort of effect on the grand market of everything. So, just we're a lot of bitching to do here in Houston, no problem. Also, hopefully we got a few new viewers here. I surprisingly went viral over the weekend talking about the Port of Seattle, and specifically that is basically empty. It's really interesting to see, like, some people are like, well, there was a slowdown before all this. No. Not slowdown is like, oh, we got 6 ships rather than 12. No, we have 0 or 2. We don't ever have any more than that in port. And I've never seen it that way. It wasn't even that bad during COVID when there were shutdowns. So yeah, that's not at all how it is. And then they send me this like thing. See how many ships are coming in? And their list includes basically a bunch of ferries. They're going back and forth, docking every 30 minutes. Fishing boats, American flag vessels that go between Alaska and Hawaii in here, tugboats, military vessels. And like, see, there's like 100 ships coming in. Yeah, dude, and 10 of those are yachts. So, and 10 are cruise ships. These are not, oh, my cat is in the box. I'm gonna have to throw him like a baseball. That's not container ships. They're not container ships from China. The slowdown in Long Beach. Last week they actually had a boost because the fees are cheaper at Long Beach. So a lot of them diverted and went to Long Beach instead of Oakland or Seattle, Tacoma. Dude, cat, seriously, stop. The only time in that cat's life he's ever been excited about something is to finally be in a box. He's been there for a couple weeks. And now this week they're going to be 36% below average. The week after that, expected to be about 60% below average. There's 8 million people who work in logistics in the United States. 3.5 million truck drivers. My experience driving through SoDo, the south part of Seattle, is that you have lineups of day trucks waiting to get into port, moving things for these for the shipping company, taking them from the port to warehouses to the train yards, etc., getting these things on the move. And they just, there's thousands of these day truck drivers who don't have anything to do right now because there's nothing moving. Most of these guys are owner-operator. A lot of them are immigrants who do day truck because they're not necessarily union. And they buy a truck for whatever pittance they can get one for used that probably has 1 million miles or more on it, and they have to keep it up themselves. And they're hoping for, the small little bit of money they get hauling a container from the shipyard to the train yard, whatever. And they got nothing going on. They got no income coming in. The longshoremen have very little income coming in. This is like the biggest unforced error in modern history. Like the only unforced error I can think of in recent times that are almost as big as what we're going through right now is probably when Maduro in Venezuela fired all the oil workers who he thought were against him And it turns out it's pretty much everyone who knew how to maintain oil fields. And then production in Venezuela went from like $300 billion a year to under $100 billion a year. And now Venezuela is poor. Like, it's on that level, but the United States economy is so much bigger. People don't understand just how much China's going to eat our lunch in this. Jesus Christ, Cat. Dude. You've had it all day. Stop. I wonder if I accidentally put the catnip in there. Yeah, that's why he's freaking out when I moved. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So 15% of China's exports come to the United States. Exports are like 26% of GDP or something. So it turns out to be that the United States consumers represent about 2.5% of China's GDP. Now, they can take the hit on 2.5%. Why? Because we just took the hit on 2.5%. In quarter one, since Trump got elected, the U.S. economy has contracted 2.5%. So we've already taken that hit. China, they're fine with it. But what will not happen to China is a further erosion of their GDP. We're losing 5% of our GDP this quarter. That's kind of what's projected. That we're going to shrink another 5%. The global financial crisis was a contraction of 4.9%. And so in 2 quarters, we're about to contract 50% more than what we did during the GFC, which caused unemployment to shoot up double digits, millions of people to lose their homes, etc. We're not going to be able to weather the storm. We're not. We're not built for it. We were built for having the world reserve currency, being able to magically print little pieces of paper out of thin air, take those magic pieces of paper and give them to people and have them be excited about it, and they give us stuff in return. We don't have to export goods. We export little pieces of paper. That's what we do. And the world was stoked about it. And we just blew up our magic little piece of paper printer machine. They don't want it anymore. They don't want the things we do make. China is getting their soybeans from Brazil, their beef from Australia, their oil from Canada. All these red states that make soybeans, beef, and oil, well, we just lost our customers. So we're capping wells because oil prices are going down. When you get desperate to sell stuff on the market, they don't want our airplanes. Boeing's getting all their planes returned, their orders canceled. Countries are saying, no, we don't want F-35s. We're going to go for Eurofighters and joint strikes and whatever. It's just unforced error. This is a goalie doing an own goal and then ripping his shirt off and sliding across the turf, going, yeah. It's so stupid. It's just the dumbest, boneheaded. Oh, we're gonna make that stuff here. Okay. Here's a scenario for you. You are an auto parts manufacturer. Your factory's in Mexico right now, Jalisco or something. Juarez, I don't know where your factory is. And you've spent hundreds of millions of dollars building machinery, tooling, etc. You've got thousands of employees. You're stamping out parts. You're thinking this USMCA agreement that Trump negotiated and then just apparently tore apart was going to make you rich, right? You send your parts to US, it gets put into, Fords and Chryslers and stuff. And you're like, cool. And all of a sudden you get slapped with these tariffs. You're like, shit. Now I'm going to have to, in order to have customers again, I'm going to have to invest hundreds of millions of dollars and build a factory in the US. There's a couple of problems with that. One, right? The tooling to build these factories comes from China, from Europe, from Japan. We don't have the tooling machines here. So you're going to be facing tariffs to get that stuff here. 2, construction workers don't exist anymore. Why? Because they were basically the majority of workers were immigrants. And they're all in hiding or being deported or whatever, right? So construction is grinding to a halt. 3, construction costs are going through the roof because we put tariffs on Canadian lumber. So now build costs are just sky high. Steel imports are almost impossible to get. So what is available is American made, right? And they're just jacking up the prices. It's not getting cheaper. It's making things more expensive. So let's say you get through it. You get through the planning, and then you get the architects and the engineers, and you're just like, okay, I want to finally start building this thing. It's going to be at a fast pace, 2 years or more before that factory is operational. In that time, your factory in Mexico isn't making any money, right? They're making no money. And so you get through this thing, you build this factory, you're ready to open it, and then all of a sudden Trump just like, oh, I'm canceling tariffs, right? So now you just spent like $500 million building a factory. You now have two factories that are essentially competing with each other with twice the workforce and half the customers. Like, this is why everyone in all these corporations, all these like conglomerates and everyone else are like, they can't pull the trigger and decide to do something because they don't know if Trump on a whim is going to change his mind the next day. My friend owns an Italian restaurant, a very fancy pizza joint. I work there like 12 hours a week helping them out, and also to get my human social fix because otherwise I'm in front of the computer all day. And yeah. And they basically were told the managers, like, don't spend any money. If your plates break and we run low, just accept it. Because they had to import as much as they could from Europe while they can to fill up their warehouse with, because it's Italian, right? It is authentic Napolitano style pizza. So it's, Italian double O flour, Italian tomatoes, Italian cheeses, etc. And all these things were going to face gigantic tariffs. Italian wines, 200% tariff on liquor is what Trump was proposing. So they spent and they spent and they spent and they spent, and everything was getting to like threadbare in the restaurant because they're trying to stock up for a year's worth of things if they can. And then all of a sudden Trump's like, tariffs are not on anymore. And they're like, fuck. Now they have all this stuff, right? And they've been spending warehouse money for it when they weren't planning on doing that before because they're getting jerked around by this fucking clown. It's absolutely silly. It's stupid. It's just silly stupid is what it is. Just stupid, silly, stupid. And it's all unnecessary. To get to the point where we can suddenly build ourselves cell phones, it's going to take 20 years of investment. 20 years. And we're going to slowly either have to figure out how to build the tooling here ourselves or get the Chinese or Germans to do it because that's who builds that tooling. Or the Taiwanese, but the Taiwanese might get blown up by China. The Foxconn factory employs 600,000 people. The city of Seattle is 600,000 people. So our 18th largest city in the country is equivalent to one Foxconn factory that builds our cell phones. How are we going to do that in this country? They have 1 billion workers in China. We have 12 million unemployed people in the United States. 12 million. So in order to equal China's industrial capacity with just their workforce, we're going to need to have 200 million laborers just to perhaps make a dent, which means, forget college. Well, that's easy. No one gets to go to college anymore because you're going to go stamp out, stainless steel parts at a factory 5,000 times an hour. I guess you fire all the PhDs that work at the NIH doing rare disease research. You can have them sweep the floor of a factory instead because that's a great investment of our time. I haven't gotten to your questions yet. I haven't the intro. I should probably do that. So let's bonk. Hi, fat guy. Where are you getting drunk All right. Oh, there's a super chat. Bill Coyne. People that collect tariffs have been fired. It's self-reporting and the rules change by the hour. It's chaos. Yeah, Trump needs to collect, well, he said it was going to be $6 trillion in tariffs. We might as well, turn off the intro, Houston. I almost double introed myself. Okay, we got to turn off, which one? I got calculator on. I got to turn off this one. Where's calculator? Calculator, where'd you go? Oh, it's not open. Calculator. Boom. Oh, going for the lap now, fat guy? All right, so $6 trillion He said that we're going to collect so much in tariffs, we won't even need to have income tax anymore. So that's what he said today. So obviously we must be collecting $3 to $6 trillion in tariffs, because that's $6 trillion is about our operating budget for the government. We collect about $4.5 trillion in taxes because we have a giant deficit, because gestures at everything. So we got $6 trillion. We have 365 days in a year. We need to be collecting $16.4 billion in tariffs a day. $16.4 billion in tariffs a day in order to fund the government to the level that Trump says that we should be collecting. Since Trump's tariffs plans begun, we've collected $500 million. And what people are discovering is that they're paying the tariffs. You buy something from Temu or whatever, oh, it's $20, and they charge you like $50 in tariffs. Is that Temu's collecting that money and they're not giving it to anyone. So it's just extra money for the Chinese at this point, because they're not passing it on to. Seriously, there must be drugs in here. What is it? What is it? Where is it? Oh, there is drugs in here. I knew it. Hey, up here. Ding dong. Hey. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come get the drugs. Come get the drugs. Come on. Come on. Come get them. They're up here. With little teeth marks all over them. Come on. Come on, dude. It's all over my lap. Come on. I'm talking politics and economics, and you need all those drugs right there. Yeah. Right there for you. No, dummy. It's right there. It's right there. Hey, look. Eat that. So yeah, we got ways to go to get the 16 billion a day. So at this pace, it's 500 million over what? 3 months? So in, let's see here. So in 32, 3 months, 1 quarter, divided by 4. In 8 years, Trump will have collected 1 day's worth of tariffs, according to his math. 8.21 years to be specific. So 8 years, 2.5 months, somewhere around there. Cool. Like I said, it's just, everything's so stupid. It is chaos, Bill Coin. Absolutely chaos. To the chat, finally, after I've been rambling for 24 minutes and being Captain Drug Addict over here. Hi. Andrew Dow, first. Andrew Dow, first to like. Lone Wolf, first to wish you a happy birthday. C. Gill, happy birthday. Bought a couple more VIX calls leading to CPI date Wednesday. Can't imagine the numbers are great. They're not going to be great. No. I think unemployment's going to be up. It's going to start recording now federal workers who are unemployed, and they're collecting unemployment and looking for jobs and things like that. As well as, we've got industries trying to lay people off again because oilmen getting laid off because oil prices are down, wells are getting capped. So yeah, can I read? Happy birthday, HW. Donald announces tariffs to continue and replace income tax. This sounds like a fucked up scam. And people about to be pissed. Yes, remember there's still USA citizens expecting Doge $5,000 checks. CBS News did a report this week showing that Doge claimed they've cut $160 billion in spending, and then you look at it and they've cut like $6 billion. But the $6 billion that actually cut has resulted in $135 billion in extra expenses because lawsuits, loss of life, loss of funding for education, research, etc., and that's just costing our economy more and more money every day that Doge, saves money. The Republican government is always good at making cuts that cost us more money in the end. And then my famous examples are refusing to upgrade the hurricane levees in New Orleans. Save $30 million by deferring that maintenance. And then Hurricane Katrina hits and causes $500 billion in damage. Or firing the pandemic response team and the USAID epidemiologists to save, between the two, is about $80 million. And then that ended up costing us $21 trillion in lost GDP and money printing during COVID, as well as millions of lives. So, sometimes you don't save money by cutting. You don't save money by ignoring getting an oil change. It's going to blow up your engine, and you're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars either replacing the engine or getting a new car. Just maintain what you need, man. You don't save money by chasing away all of your engineers and scientists to foreign countries. Like, they're your innovators. They're the ones who invent stuff for you. They make your things. And if you scare them all away, they're going to leave, and they're going to take that wealth they generate with their giant brains, and they're going to bring them to other countries. And they're going to make those countries very, very wealthy. Very wealthy. So, just... Yeah, you're not getting $5,000 from Doge because Doge doesn't have $5,000 to give you. And Trump wants to pay you $5,000 to have a baby while deporting babies. So we have people who want to live here. We need to keep our population up. They're coming from all over the world to live here, or they were. And now we're like, screw you, guys, brown, right? And because there's a bunch of, doughy, soft as baby shit white people that think that if someone has dark skin color from them, that all of a sudden all their heritage and history is lost. Just, they're such delicate little flowers. I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how you become so fragile knowing that someone who doesn't have the exact cookie color experience of life as you is a threat. I just don't get that. I don't understand it. Maybe some racist in the chat can explain it to me. I don't know. And for those of you who are new viewers who haven't been here before, they do wish me happy birthday constantly. And no one ever gets it right. So they just keep going. Keep going. Stephanie almost fifth. Frozen State Productions also is fifth. Ooh, Frozen State. I think you may have missed that one. What are the odds of any stock trading in the millions of shares ends 4 days in a row at the same price? AMC did it. Well, it happened with GME too. GME, 1.4 million shares were reported right at the end of the day. There's some very weird trades going on. There's some big pension funds today announced that they bought 1 million or more shares for their members. It is very weird things going on in the markets in general. But AMC was barcoding today, but I don't really care about AMC anymore. Adam Aaron just poisoned the well on me on that one. Charles Bronson, Houston, forcing student loan repayments is okay. Wish he could force jobs to hire more graduates, and this would help them be able to pay. With a job, you can pay. Grads get passed up at jobs. Well, one of the big problems is rich people don't take student loans. And rich people, they pay for their kids' school, right? Those kids oftentimes have trust funds. It doesn't have to be big trust funds, a couple thousand a month or whatever. And for a lot of jobs out of college, the introductory job, the intro job, the low-level job you get is an unpaid internship. So you agree to go work for a company for 6 months with no pay. And then, if that internship works out, you get hired on as a full-time employee. Whereas poor people who have to take on loans, they cannot afford to do a 6-month internship. They've got bills, man. They got to pay rent. They have to go work. And so they end up taking any job they can get in any field, and then they get passed by the rich people who don't have any debt. They can't get the real world experience needed to get the entry level position because they can't do the internships. So what ends up happening is they end up having lower career earnings than they would had they been able to join X corporation, you name it, as an unpaid intern, and then work their way in from there. And it's just the reality of it. So when people are like, "Oh, pay your own loans," brah. Despite all that, a college graduate does earn more over their lifetime than somebody who hasn't graduated from college. So much so that they pay $510,000 more in income tax over their lifetime than someone who hasn't graduated college. Meaning, not only do they pay $500,000 more into the system, they also have to pay their student loans. So basically they get taxed twice. Because tax dollars guarantee the student loans. It costs us just as much money to federally guarantee loans as it would to just pay the tuition for folks. I'm saying pay tuition at public colleges and universities. Other countries do it. They don't saddle 22-year-olds with half a million dollars in debt upon graduation. The student loan system is absolutely predatory and silly because the way the payment program is set up and the way that interest compounds and is calculated and your payments are calculated is that it's supposed to be paid off in 10 years, right? So you're taking out a $500,000 loan these days, $250,000, whatever, to graduate from a college university, and you're expected to pay that back in 10 years. Okay? What new grad has $25,000, $50,000 a year discretionary income to pay that loan back properly? They don't have it. So they can't pay them, so we'll do an income, based repayment system. You pay what you can afford, and we'll be cool. So the student goes, okay, because they can't do anything else. They might have an extra $100 a month they can throw at that thing. So throw $100 a month at it. Meanwhile, it's gaining $2,000-$3,000 a month in interest. So they pay $100 a month. It's not touching the principal at all. All the interest is just being tacked on to their loans. I'm someone who has paid back $60,000 of my $70,000 in student loans, and I now owe $97,000. So I can't touch the principal either. I'm sure there's lots of you in here. I dated a girl, first in her family to go to college. She got accepted to USC, and when you're an immigrant child of piss poor Dominicans and you get accepted to USC, you go. Because no one else had even finished high school in her family. She goes to USC. Then she gets accepted to grad school at Yale. Does a master's degree at Yale. Graduates. She has $140,000 in loans. 15 years later, after paying back something like $80,000 or $90,000, she has $240,000 she owes on those loans. So it's not a system normal people are designed to get out of. And Trump's going to find out what it's like when they start garnishing the wages of 5 million people, just how much travel disappears, restaurants get vaporized. If you take away everyone's discretionary income, they don't do things. If they don't do things, the velocity of money grinds to a halt in the economy, and the first stuff to go are going to be the mom and pops, and then the travel people, and then the hotels, and then the Airbnbs. It's just a dumb system. Everything we do is so stupid. There's such better ways to do it, and we refuse because there's some fucking asshole at the top who we're gonna mess with this yacht money, and we can't. We have to ensure that tens of millions of Americans are punished because this guy needs his yacht money. And what then? Like, we could just say no yacht money, and then that's it. As collectively as a society, we can say that. If I'm all for every single solitary American who owes student loans to just never pay them again. Every last one of you, just stop paying. They don't have the people available to do anything about that, and you will force Congress to figure out a new way to pay for college. So everyone, I'm calling on every American to just stop paying your student loans. Every last one of you, collectively. Make that our big old grandstand, our finally like general strike against the government. Just fuck it. Don't pay your student loans. Who gives a shit? What are they going to do? They're going to hunt down all 47 million of you? No. What's going to happen is a bunch of banks are going to go belly up. A whole bunch of mortgage or student loan-backed securities that are trading these weird, derivatives are trading on weird markets are going to suddenly vaporize, and $1 trillion of market share is going to vanish instantly, and they're going to have to figure out how to deal with it. So If they can give people PPP loans, let them go without paying them off. They can figure out how to do that with student loans as well. Rah! Okay. Kelly Reed, more people are financing their groceries to get now, pay later, and late payments are skyrocketing. Yeah, sounds like a healthy economy. Wolf spiking. Also, when's quarter one report for 2025 out? Quarter one from the Fed. I think that came out last week, didn't it? The Atlanta Fed, anyway, revised their contraction of the U.S. economy from 2.2 to 2.5. That's their final revision for quarter one. And that's just with a couple of months of Trump being president in there. And they're estimating 5% or more contraction for quarter two. But the CPI report is Wednesday. I think that was posted above by someone. Oh, Siegel did. Steel, peach, and tozer. What's red and invisible? No tomatoes. Mystery Machine. Has anyone else noticed the prices not going up at the grocery store? I don't think they have even started collecting tariffs. Honestly, I live in Texas. Albertsons, which owns Safeway, and they're trying to merge with Kroger, and they own, like, was it Ralph's or Vaughn's and Fred Meyer. They told their vendors that they refuse to pay the tariffs. They're like, no, contract's a contract. We're not paying your silly tariffs. And I'm waiting to see what those exporters say. Because you have to remember, like, this is stuff like, you know, asparagus and broccoli from Chile, tropical fruits from Costa Rica, Brazil, whatever, coffee, right? And they're facing import. They're to bring it into the country, they have to pay the tariffs. Well, the problem is that the vendors, they can ship that stuff to the port, right? Like you buy, I don't know, 8 million jillion pounds of broccoli from Chile, and it arrives at the port, and Albertson's like, I am not paying that tariff. Well, under law, it doesn't get released to you then, so then there's a bunch of broccoli just rotting at the port. So I don't know how Albertsons is going to get around that, other than the fact, as mentioned earlier by Bill Coyne, that there's no one collecting the tariffs on this stuff, and it's just a giant mess. So that might be how they get around it, is that they charge the tariffs, and all the port guys are like, wink. And, oh, you're stoned. Look at you. That's all we needed. Yeah. But yeah, the having to take out credit cards or do buy now, pay later for food is bonkers. That is the sign of a dying economy, when people have to use credit to get food. I don't know how you look at it and say, oh, it's brilliant. Like, what was the short-term credit company that was doing buy now, pay later for DoorDash? So you can, like, get a burrito on credit and then pay it back in 4 installments. Doomed. Absolutely doomed. Murphy's Turf, the thing about Besant is that he has excellent posture. It's almost like the doctor told him he had a stick up his ass, and Besant asked him to shove it up further. Yes, have Americans tried just not being poor? It's amazing to me that as much as folks on the right hate George Soros, they took the guy who ran George Soros' company and made him Treasury Secretary. And now they're like, and he's gay. So like they have gay Soros guy leading the Treasury, and they're like, oh yeah, we hate gays, but that one's ours. So it makes no sense. Nothing makes sense anymore. And first impressions. If they're forcing student loan repayments, maybe do away with compound interest they're charging. You know about that. Oh yeah, the compound interest is diabolical. It makes it so that no one can pay them off unless they win the lottery. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need scientists, we need engineers, we need finance bros, we need school teachers, there's a whole bunch of people that our service sector economy depends upon in order to operate. And instead of encouraging a lot of folks who will be really, really good at that stuff, from going to school and have an actual meritocracy where, like, if you go to school, we're going to make your life such fucking hell that you're going to regret it, right? Like, how dare you? How dare you show aptitude and do well on your SATs, young man or lady, because you're going to get accepted to a college and mark my words, you're going to fucking hate yourself for it in 15 years, right? That's basically what we're doing to this economy. Just like how we're just, upset that China doesn't buy enough computers from us or something. And so now we're taxing ourselves a whole bunch of money. This allegory has been used a whole bunch, or example, or hypothetical, whatever. But I have a trade deficit with the grocery store. It's true. I spend more money at the grocery store than they spend at Houston Incorporated. There's a giant trade deficit between me and the grocery store. So I'm going to punish the grocery store by hitting myself with a giant tax. That's right, folks. I'm going to tax myself an extra 145% at every item at the grocery store. And I'm going to do that until I figure out how to create my own grocery store. So there. That's basically the entire mentality behind these tariffs. Tariffs in history have only resulted in absolute carnage for the country that levies these tariffs, especially these outlandish ones that we're doing. In 1929, the economy crashed. Fell off a cliff. Yeah, market fell, a bunch of dudes jump out of buildings in New York, etc. Whatever. But, you get to 10 months later, unemployment is only 6%. Like, we've had fairly good times in the U.S. where unemployment has been 6%. Like, recovery of a recession, you'll have 6% unemployment. Sometimes in the depth of recession, you'll have 6% unemployment. But, that was something that we could climb out of. Instead of writing that one out, right, the U.S. government passed Smoot-Hawley. And Smoot-Hawley levied drastic tariffs on almost everything we import. And almost instantly, unemployment shot up like past 15% and then extended the Great Depression by probably a decade. It's an unforced error. You don't have to be that stupid. But every 100 years or so, somebody's like, well, what if we do it this time and it comes out different? Right? Because I'm special. No. Take a history class. You're not special. You're not different. The human condition has not changed enough for you to be that Teflon to the dildo of consequence. Like, you make a dumb decision that others have made in the past over and over and over and lost. And you're like, this time is different. And then you make that dumb decision and karma just kicks your ass. Then you're like, stupid karma, right? If it wasn't for that dumb karma, I would have won. I just know that so many of my shows, some of my past, but so many shows in the future are just, I'm going to kill myself via face palms live on the internet. I'm going to die from face palming myself. So there's going to be a giant callus on my head before my fucking skull finally shatters into 1,000 pieces because of the stupidity and the ineptitude and the bullshit of these dumbass tech billionaires who never took a social studies class in their entire lives. Like, what good is it knowing math and calculus and computer programming if you don't know how to relate any of it to history or humanity in general? This is why a liberal arts education is very important. It's why it's so important. You have to go take that rhetoric course, take that sociology course, take the anthropology course, take the English course, read a book for once in your life that's not some sort of self-help book or how to Unix or something. Because they don't know how people work. They just don't. If they knew how people work, graphic user interfaces on a lot of apps and programs would be so much smarter. But in their mind, they read some sci-fi book from 1968, and in it, there's some terrible fascist dystopian authoritarian monster that the hero has to overcome their weird tech that they use to subjugate all of humanity. And somehow these dweebs read that book and they're like, I'm going to invent that tech. They don't see it as a warning, like, hey man, don't make this thing. They see it as a challenge to be the one who invents it. And then they become the villain in that book. We have so much sci-fi that warns us against these things, warns us against AI making decisions for us, warns us against surveillance states, warns us against, an oligarchy led by, distant billionaire classes. And all these dudes are like, that's exactly what I want. Like, makes them hard or something. I don't get it, man. It's bonkers. Stephanie L. borrowed $60,000, paid back $120,000. Only because my dad died and he had life insurance. I'm starting to hoard food in freezers, install edible gardens for a living, have a wait list now. Folks are panicking. Yeah, I totally get that. And the sad thing is that for a lot of people, Gen X and millennials especially, the only way they will own a home or pay off things like their student loans is for a loved one to kick the bucket. It's morbid and it's grotesque. My dad, I have an old dad, but my dad went to Virginia Tech for $125 a term. $125. That included his tuition, books, room and board, and even laundry service. He would pack his laundry into a bag, hand it to some lady, she would wash, fold it, hand it back to him. That was all included for $125 a term. He went to school for 7 years. Did mechanical engineering and architecture. His entire tuition cost, including room and board, laundry service, his books, over those 7 years are less than 1 month of my student loan payments. When he went to school, I think it was his sophomore year, was when the minimum wage was $1.25. He could work 5 weeks over the summer and pay for an entire year of school? Whereas at minimum wage now at $7.25 an hour, I'd have to work 3 or 4 years at full time to pay for a year of college. So just what we consider minimum wage in this country, which is like, oh, minimum wage would be for like students and stuff. Okay, minimum wage job for a student. You are going to have to work for 16 years just to pay for your 4 years of your undergraduate degree. That's stupid. When you could do it in a summer before. And, this system, I don't doubt that originally the whole student loan system was probably, the intent was good. Like, I'll figure out ways to get people to pay for school. But what ends up happening is, the system becomes so complicated and so convoluted that this admission structure gets created that is used to facilitate the student loans. So you got the education department, which the only part of the education department that's still around because they fired everyone else is the student loan monitoring one. You have all these banks that do the money, so you got to do all these crazy deals with the banks and the federal government and the guaranteeing and blah, blah, blah. And then you have the administrations at the colleges who have to process this stuff. And the administrative bloat gets gigantic. I mean, if you got rid of student loans today and just paid schools enough money to educate the kids, just like you do with your elementary schools and stuff like that, I'd say 95% of the administrative overhead at colleges would disappear. Poof, be gone. Just look at your local schools, right? You have a school district. There's a superintendent, maybe like a assistant superintendent, a couple of secretaries. You might have 5 or 6 people in the superintendent's office managing, all the schools in your district. You then have a principal, assistant principal, maybe 2 assistant principals if it's a high school, And then you got teachers, right? So there's like 3 administrators, a couple office ladies, and then you have like your 100 teachers at a school. You get to a college, you have business department, financial aid department, hundreds of people, each one of these things. When you could have a chancellor, a vice chancellor, a couple of secretaries, a few department heads, and that's it. You have freaking 30 administrators for a school of 30,000 people. Whereas today, you probably have 5,000 administrators for that same school. Healthcare is the same way. There's 800,000 doctors in the United States. There's 2.1 million people just to process health insurance. 2.1 million. Your healthcare costs a fucking arm and a leg because of this gigantic administrative overhead. There's administrative overhead at the hospital. There's administrative overhead at the insurance companies. Then you got the big dicks at the top who then pull in $50 million a year and stuff like that. But if you just make all the hospitals owned by the government and all the doctors and nurses employees of the government, and you just give them what they need to help people, done, right? Healthcare costs cut in half instantly. You save $2 trillion, $3 trillion a year for the American people. You don't have to buy expensive insurance anymore. Your big companies don't have to provide expensive insurance anymore to you. It'd be a beautiful system. It's just imagine every employer in America saving $15,000 a worker. That's what you get if you just have a national healthcare system. Imagine anyone who wants to can go to school. Anyone. You want to go to college? Go to college, buddy. You got this. You want to major in something? Major in whatever the hell you want. It's paid for. If we told a bunch of kindergartners, all right, little Bethany, I know you're 5 years old and you need to be educated because it's required by law. We're going to put you on a loan program at 5 years old. You're going to take out $15,000 a year, right? That's just your tuition. Then you got your living expenses. That'll be another $10,000 a year. So $25,000 a year or so in kindergarten, $25,000 a year in second grade, $25,000 in third grade, whatever. Oh, fourth grade, you have a tuition increase. It's just going to end up being like $32,000 a year. And by the time little Bethany is 18 years old, she graduates with like $2 million in debt. And you're like, Bethany, you better pay that shit back or else I'm going to ruin your goddamn life. That's what we do to college students. So it's dumb. Everything's dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. We live in a dumb, stupid, fucking dumb country that does dumb, stupid fucking shit all the time. And we don't ever make anyone's life a modicum better. Ever. We just don't. Nothing we do improves our lives at this point. Everything we do is some sort of giant fuck you of punishment that just hurts people. That's it. Like, we're just out to hurt people. That's our entire system now. We elected Donald Trump not because he's going to improve your lives, but because we knew he was going to hurt people for us. And that gets us fucking hard. Yeah. Fuck you, 2-year-old cancer. I don't care if you're an American citizen. Go to fucking Nicaragua, loser. And that's what we're doing, man. That's what we're doing. We're just punishing people at this point arbitrarily, uselessly, without thought or reason or consideration for the consequence. Hey, Norway, yeah, you may have a trade deficit, a trade surplus with us, but fuck you, we're going to tariff you anyway. That's it. So we shouldn't be surprised when the rest of the world just sort of turns their back on us and starts to ignore us. Because we're doing it to ourselves. We're covered in piss and shit, having a hissy fit in the sidewalk, yelling at people that don't exist, and everyone else is just like, okay, I'm just going to continue my life and ignore America because they are weird. And here we are, man. Here we are. Just being the dumbest, lamest, stupidest losers in the entire, we had it so good. Oh man, did we have it good. Making magic fake pieces of paper, passing to people, getting shit for it. And the problem is that it got a little too good, right? We had a few too many really, really rich people. And those really, really rich people, well, their money's got to go somewhere, right? It's got to go somewhere because they can't spend it. Dude can't spend $4 billion to save his life, right? He's got homes and jets and mistresses and, sex palaces and yachts and submarines and pieces of property and towers and all sorts of things. He still can't get to the bottom of that $4 billion. So he's like, you manage it, private equity. And private equity starts running out of things to invest in. They've already invested in all the chain restaurants. They invested in all the hospitals. They're investing in all the insurance companies. They're like vet clinics, HVAC companies, rug cleaning guys, food trucks. Like, they're running out of things to invest in because there's too much money in these assholes' hands. And what that ends up doing is raising the cost of everything for the rest of us because they need to maximize every single solitary cent out of that, because no one's allowed to be a small business anymore because some private equity dude has to come in because he's got an extra $1 million, he's got stuff somewhere. So he takes it and he buys up all the auto park, all the mechanics in your area. So every single solitary garage you go to is now owned by the same company. And that company is like, well, we're going to start charging whatever we want because there's no competition anymore. That's how they do it, because we gave them too much money to begin with. If you are Vivek Ramaswamy and you have $940 million, right? You're making, at 5% interest, you're making $45 million a year. Okay. $45 million a year. Vivek Ramaswamy, that's how much money he's getting. He doesn't know what the fuck to do with it because he can live like a god at $50,000 a month. What the hell is he going to do with millions he's got to spend a month? He's going to take it and he's going to go buy up everything else because he doesn't know what to do with it. So there's a couple of solutions. You basically tax the shit out of them. You limit how much they can invest, right? If the cajillionaires were only allowed to invest $1 billion and everything else had to like sit in a bank somewhere, then that's what would happen, right? If you tax their capital gains at appropriate rates, if you are living off passive income on those capital gains and you are a cajillionaire, we're taking a lot of it, and it's going to go into healthcare, into schools, and everything else. Instead, you got Elon spending a couple $100 million to buy a presidency so you can like make his white power state happen, and he gets all sad when people get mad at him. There's too many billionaires in this country who have it good who are fucking assholes and bitch about everything. You and I, we have reason to bitch. Some guy worth $400 million, what the hell does he have to complain about? I need more white people babies. That's basically what his complaint is. Well, fuck you, man. Like, oh, boo-hoo. Oh, your dick doesn't work. Oh. Anywho, Alex Bishop, Super Chats. Reagan didn't want smart proletariat. Oh, no. You got to dumb the population down, because if you have a smart population, they're not going to vote for conservatives ever again. That's basically what it comes down to, is they realize how much they're getting screwed. The Republican Party has been fantastic at pitting poor people against poor people. You know, some poor trucker, farmer, factory worker, etc. is all pissed off at this poor immigrant. That's the guy you should be mad at. Not the fact that their CEO at the company they make for is 7,000 times their income is what they're making. Oh, we gotta do some cuts. I gave myself $100 million bonus, right? That bullshit. I think it's simple too. If your company pays people poverty wages, you don't get tax cuts. And you can also solve the problem, do a European style for some countries. They have a limit on how much CEOs can make. So if you're the CEO of a company, you're limited at 100 times the lowest paid employee. That's as much as you can make in compensation, whether it's bonuses, salary, stock, etc. And a lot of these CEOs will go, oh, but you know what? They didn't do $40 million in work. They didn't do $100 million in work. They did not work harder than the person at the lowest tier in their company who's pulling doubles to make sure that their student loans are paid off, that their kids' medical expenses are taken care of, that they can make this month's rent, right? They did not do more work than them. Hard work does not make you richer. The hardest working people you meet will be some poor immigrant who's working 3 or 4 jobs during the week. They're sweating, man. They're sweating. They're not seeing their kids. And they're up at 4 in the morning. They're in bed at midnight. Those people are poor as shit. And they're working harder than anybody you will ever know. So no. Hard work gets you to the top. Every person who says that had their job handed to them by daddy. Daddy paid for college. Daddy bought them their first car. Daddy gave them a loan to start their company. There has to be a change in this country. And it's and you know, maybe nuking the economy in this unforced error, perhaps that will be the wake-up call. But sadly, it's coming at the same time as a lot of authoritarian edicts out of the executive, and he's prepping this nation for a dictatorship. They're snatching people off the street. They're arresting judges. They're threatening journalists. It's gross. And Americans, because 25% of the population is college degrees, but we're working like crazy to try to infinitely pay those things off. The rest of the country, you know, we've got something like 30% of the population, 35% of the population are functionally illiterate. They don't know things. They don't know an authoritarian. They don't know who the vice president is. They haven't read a newspaper headline in ever because they can't read. You can't count on those folks to figure out what's going on until it's way, way, way too late. And I don't want to say it's because they're dumb, because a lot of them aren't dumb. A lot of them were just failed by the system. And because the system, everyone's always looking to get efficiency out of this system. Like, we need to make it more efficient. We gotta cut music. We have to cut art. We have to make sure these kids take the standardized test. And so there's no flexibility within that system to cater to folks who come from impoverished backgrounds, whose parents weren't educated, right? There might not have been books in their house. The poverty that leads to desperation and crime, right? Like, these are things that can be easily addressed if we just cut the legs off of the C-class folks. I'm sorry, you don't have yacht money this year. Get a smaller yacht. Okay? Your 250-foot one is unnecessary. Settle on a 70-foot yacht. You're going to have just as much fun. You can pack just as many supermodels on that yacht as you could on the big one. And do that. I'm sorry. I apologize. But we need to ensure that 30% of our population can read, because they haven't before, because we cut teacher pay. We made it miserable. And teachers can't write off buying, you know, school supplies. But you can write off your gigantic yacht and your jet. You know, you get a $12 million jet, you can write off about $3 million a year in taxes on that sucker. So it pays for itself in 4 years. And with Citizens United, corporations are people, right? That's what they rule. Corporations are citizens. Therefore, they're allowed to contribute unlimited to, like, political campaigns. Dark money, all that crap. But a corporation can write off as much money as they want in losses, right? You are an actual person. You're only allowed to write off $3,000 a year. But the corporation, who's also a person, they can write off several hundred million, $1 billion, infinite. Shouldn't there be some parity there if the corporation's a person? If you commit a crime, they take your body and they throw your ass in prison. If the corporation commits a crime, the equal crime, right? We're just gonna put a little fine on them, right? So there's no parity in any of this. It is a system that is absolutely going to fuck us over until we're all done, basically. Yeah, I'm going on a lot of rants today. It's a ranty day, and I think I'm way past my hour here. But tomorrow's Charity Tuesday. I still haven't decided on a charity yet. by all means, contact me on Blue Sky, contact me on the Reddit page. Give me some suggestions. I have not found a charity yet. I have some vague ideas, but if you have a good one, I'll check and see if they're available on YouTube, and our Charity Tuesday will be for them. So anyway, I'm way behind the chat, and I apologize. But tomorrow will be a 2-hour show because we're raising money. And I'll see you then. Right? I'm done pulling my hair out and ranting for today. It's cathartic, at least for me. I hope you folks enjoyed it as well. And I hope there's some new people in here. Believe me, it's not always all rants. I'm just in a very ranty mood because, you know, that's why. All right. Cool. Well, I'm going to say my goodbye intro. Wait, come on, button. There we go. How about we do that one? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Houston, we have a problem. The cat is stoned.